We've got some.
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit. And today, we're bringing them to you so you can take action immediately and start creating real content momentum.
If you'd like to learn more about how to turn your content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. Oh, yeah. Today, we have an incredible guest ready to share some golden boulders with you. We met her through one of our previous guests, and then another guest nominated her to be on the Content is Profit, but she's so popular on the Content is Profit family. I'm just going to say
in the Content is Profit network. She is very popular.
So popular.
I'm telling you, the power of relationships is real. And that's part of what we're going to discover today. We're going to dig deep into how today's guest is using relationships to scale hers and others' real estate business.
She is the founder and host of the Investor Warrior podcast, a no BS show that will tell you everything you need to know about real estate. She actually managed to replace her all medical professional income in a little more than 6 months. So if you want to escape your 9-to-5, listen to her.
That is actually extremely impressive.
Yeah.
Replace the entire income.
Are you ready to listen to her?
Woo! I am so ready.
Okay,
I got my notepad and everything. Please welcome founder and host of the Investor Warrior podcast and the new member of the Content is Profit family, Kari Lyke.
Wow, that is the most exciting intro I have ever been have ever experienced.
Was a surprise okay?
It is. It's a good surprise. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so for those listening, right, we're talking like right before the show, we're like, hey, there might be a surprise coming your way. And honestly, to be honest, like that makes us very nervous because sometimes we're like, we don't know what the reaction is. But thank you for your positive reaction, Kari. I appreciate it.
No, you guys have a great energy. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to say after 178 episodes, we still haven't had anybody jump off during the intro, being offended or anything. So I think that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. Yeah, Kari. So I mean, obviously we connected through mutual friends and people that have been on the show. Do you want to share a little bit with our audience, with the people that is listening to you right now? Who's Kari? Like, what do you do? And then, why you do what you do? Because I feel it's incredible. Like, we're newbies on the real estate side of things. We're not newbies on the publishing. And I feel like this is like the perfect marriage of the two things. So that's why FONZI has the notepad right there. That's
ready.
I love it. So who am I? I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a business owner. I started out as a broke grad student, excited to climb the corporate ladder because that meant finally I get to make money. And I was a little bit disillusioned when I got into the medical career because I realized very quickly how much I was a slave to my schedule, like patients every hour, clocking in, clocking out. I had amazing. I fell into this private clinic that I worked for. The owner was my best friend. I was actually just on her podcast earlier this morning. It was an amazing experience, but it was long days. There's a salary cap when you're in the corporate world. Yeah. And it didn't matter how many hours I put in. I was going to reach that cap pretty quickly. Yeah. And the only other way to get out of that cap was to own my own clinic. And that was like, you're like married to a medical clinic if you open your own clinic. I mean, you're there like a lot. Yeah. Wow. And I knew I didn't want to do that. I wanted more freedom in my schedule. So when I met my husband, we decided to start our family. And I was a few months pregnant and I was working, and I was telling him like all the things that I wanted to do after we had the baby. Like, I want to go to Europe in the summer. I want to travel everywhere. I want to homeschool. I want to do this. I want to do that. Yeah. And he looked at me and was like, Kari, that is never going to happen if we continue with our 9-to-5 jobs. Because no one tells you in school, that you might have a commute that you're not getting paid for, that you might take work home with you that you're not getting paid for. It wasn't even the 9 to 5. It was like all the extra hours that I was putting in. And then on the weekends, I was tired because I felt like every day I was getting up and pushing myself.
Yeah.
And
It's
then,
just never the 9 to 5.
It's
It's
not-
always
yeah.
more than that.
It's like
always
the
more than
7
that. And
it's like the 7 to
when
9.
you have to push yourself to do something, you get burnt out. I wasn't being pulled anymore. Like it got to a point where I was just pushing and pushing and pushing, and I wasn't being pulled anymore.
Yeah.
And so I realized that though I loved what I was doing, I didn't love the constraints that it was creating in my life.
Yeah.
Like I liked helping people. I loved my patients, but I didn't want to be a slave to the clock. So I was like 5 months pregnant when I started educating myself on real estate, and I didn't own any real estate at the time. We were renting. I owned a crappy car. That was like the only thing that I owned. I had no idea what a mortgage was. I had no experience. And so I just like dove in. I became like really hungry for knowledge with real estate because I realized that real estate was a vehicle that could create the life that I wanted to live. And finally I said, you know what? This is what I need to do. I need to replace my income in a 6-month period of time, working 1/4 of the hours that I was working. And I need to be able to do it with my newborn by my side because I'm not putting him in daycare. I just can't do it. That's just I just couldn't. For me, that wasn't an option. So my husband fully supported me and was like, it's going to be tough with one income stream, but I think you can do it. And so I ended up flipping 2 properties and doing like a wholesale deal in 6 months with the baby. And I replaced my income. And it was like, wow, if I can do this, again, I don't like constraints.
Yeah.
I could make this into something even bigger. Like I could double or triple or quadruple the income
Absolutely.
and figure out how to do it while growing our family and just like taking them along for the ride with me. And so that's what it ended up turning into is we grew over the last 9 years, we grew it into a family owned and operated real estate investment company. In fact, my 17-year-old was just texting me because he's doing some of the promotional teasers for our podcast.
Yes.
Nice.
That's so cool.
And then we started the podcast last year.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. I love this story. I love the clarity on the goals. Once you set them, it seems like that's when you started to take off, kind of like probably you discover what is the actual path that you wanted to take. But the question that came to mind was around the schedule, right? Because yes, 9 to 5, a lot of people want to skip the 9 to 5, and then they go and they tell themselves the solution is to have my own business, build my own business. And just like you mentioned that if you have your own medical practice, you still are as a slave to that medical practice. I think it happens to a certain extent when people start businesses as well, right? I mean, we've been there. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes we're still here working late at nights, right? Where we have to sacrifice some, maybe an afternoon with some friends or whatnot. But you also get tied to your schedule as an entrepreneur. I will say at first, but it's not a must. That is the thing, right? I think people don't really understand that transition, right? How do we actually get out of that 9 to 5, even in our own business? How was that transition for you? What was it exactly that allowed you to do that? Was it, systems, processes, the clarity on your own goals, or maybe is it a pro on the industry that you're at, right? That the real estate maybe allows for that.
Well, going back to the 9 to 5, so it's interesting because we work a ton of hours right now in our business. Like I was up at 4:30 this morning to get my day started because I knew that's like when I have my coffee, I have my quiet time, I get, whatever workout I can get in before. And then my husband and I sat down at 6 a.m. with our coffees for our 1-hour meeting because we looked at our schedule today and we're like, because we have a 1 hour meeting every day together to go over the business. And 6 a.m. was our only spot this morning.
Yeah.
So here's the thing is we work a lot of hours in our business right now. But the other day, my husband was in the gym. We have a gym in our garage, and our 9-year-old has really been interested in starting to work out. We picked up Jocko Willenick's Warrior. He's got a series for kids. I don't know if you know Jocko.
Yeah, we haven't met him, but we know of him.
Of him, right? Navy SEAL has his own podcast.
Yeah,
he wrote
freedom.
Really awesome guy. Wrote a few books that I've read. Well, he wrote 3 kids books. I think it's the Warrior Kid series, and so my 9-year-old like read all of them in like a week, and he got really motivated around all the lessons that were in these books. And so he started working out with my husband in the morning, where he was literally setting his alarm at 6 a.m. so he could go work out with my husband in the gym.
That's so cool.
And the other day he said to my husband, he said, Dad, I'm so glad that you're not one of those dads that works all the time.
Wow.
And my husband thought to himself, but don't I work all the time? Like he had this underlying guilt that, we're always working.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're working and we're living at the same time. It's like business and life they're totally intertwined and intermingled in our worlds, that we don't say, okay, this is our working hours, this is our family hours. A lot of times they're just integrated into each other, so that we got to go look at some houses, we take the kids, and then we go to the beach. We have a Friday where my husband and I can get in the car. That's like our date day where we go when we do real estate together.
Yeah.
We work our schedules around so that we can be there at 3 o'clock to get the kids, or we can wake up at 6 a.m. And so for my son, who has always been in this business, he's like, I think of him as my business partner because I was pregnant when I started this business with him. He sees that this is just who we are, right? We run our business and we run our family and we do it together. Yeah. And so I don't say like, oh, I'm out of the 9 to 5 because I don't clock in and clock out. But I wake up and I start working, and I'm probably working until I go to bed, but it's because I'm being pulled to at this point. I'm not pushing myself to wake up and do what I need to do. I'm not pushing myself to stay up and do what I need to do. I'm excited about it, and I get pulled to do it, even though I'm tired sometimes.
Yeah. So sorry. I want to add a little something here real quick.
He's not gonna let me talk in the entire episode. Just so you know, okay. I'm like, this is like constant.
Yeah, Kari, today this is you and I. This is our show right now.
I'm the audience.
In the description of your show, you say the no BS show, right? Real, raw, honest, right? And the other day, I was actually listening to a podcast from Christopher Lochhead. His podcast is called "Follow Your Different," and he was talking to this author that wrote a book. I think it's The Art of Making the Impossible Possible, something like that. Not 100% sure of the title, but he was talking about intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation, right? I think the regular 9 to 5 is a lot of times tied to extrinsic motivations, right? Like, what is that, upside that this business has on how much money I can make, so then I can afford the lifestyle that I want. Is there any of that in entrepreneurship? Sure, 100%. But I think there's so much more intrinsic motivation. And I don't want to actually make this comparable, because there's people that they love their 9 to 5s, right? And they're very intrinsically motivated for that. But in the entrepreneurial journey, for those that, go into this world, the intrinsic motivation factor is so huge. And that is what this author was claiming in the book, is that is what is going to take you to the next level, right? So when you're talking about your life is integrated, right? Business and life, and you don't see it as working long hours, but your mind is constantly going. And we feel that the same exact thing. Like the other day was 11 p.m. and I was actually reading in bed, and all of a sudden I carried this little notepad everywhere, and I just start having ideas, and I just carried this notepad and started just saying, taking notes at 11 p.m. and my girlfriend's like, what are you doing? Just go to sleep. I was like, oh, I can't. I'm having this like stream of ideas. And I think is that intrinsic motivation of being raw, real, honest, really wanting to see the people that you're helping succeed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just think you put it perfectly, right? That is not one thing or the other. Is we need to learn how to, integrate it actually in our life.
Yeah. I'm not all about like, this isn't for everyone. And I know that. I mean, I have close friends who are happy doing the 9 to 5. They wouldn't be happy, I don't think, as business owners because they value certainty too much. And in business, you can't value certainty 100% and go into business, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of problems. And so when I say real and raw, like I don't go on there and say, it's a raw show. Real estate investing is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Anyone can do this because that's not the truth. The truth is there's a lot of people who can't do it because they're not going to be passionate about it, or they're not going to feel secure about it, or they just don't have it in them. And that's not something that's something that's wrong or right. It just is what it is. It's not business entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
Absolutely.
And so I do get real and raw. Like there are some days where I'm like, I need a mental day off, right? Like this is a challenging day.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because even after the challenging days, I'll still wake up the next day excited to like push through it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like push through the challenges and push through the problems because I know what's on the other side of that problem. I know what's on the other side of that challenge. And it's me growing and learning and figuring out how to do it a better way. And I don't look at adversity so much as a bad thing anymore. I think of it as an opportunity. And it is very intrinsic. I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, his business seminar one time, and he said something that at first I was like, that's a weird thing to say. But he said that business is a spiritual journey. And when he first said that, I'm like, I've never really equated business with spirituality. But if you think about it, when you go into business, there are so many personal transformations that have to take place for you to grow your business. There are so many mental shifts that must go on throughout the journey of your business in order for you to grow. That it's like the famous quote from Jim Rohn, and I'm not going to get this right completely because it's not in front of me, but he says, it's not about the goals that you set. It's about the person who you become while you're achieving those goals. And it's so true because in the last 9 years, I have gone through, my business has allowed me to go through so many personal transformations. I had to go through them if I wanted to continue growing my business. So
absolutely,
when I started to think about it, I was like, God, that is so true. Business is a spiritual transformation if you want to hang in there and like, hang tight.
There's a couple of things here that I mean, your whole story, I relate so much, obviously, because I think we're like on the mental state, that's like trying to find that or create that own path. That's been there, right? Like for us, it was soccer at the very beginning, right? We were always like, school is like backup plan, right? Like, that's fine. And then soccer was the thing. And we got to even play in Europe. And that's why we're here in the United States, right? But once that was stopped, we felt a little lost. And we even gave it a shot to get a quote unquote real job, right? But at the same time, internally, at least I don't know, FONZI, but I was like, I didn't feel fulfill. I'm like, I need to do more, right? I need to like do something more. I don't know what it is. Like when we first started, we had no idea that we started doing stickers and then t-shirts and then it evolved into this incredible thing that we have now. But I relate so much because of that momentum, right? Like, and I love the fact on how you mix both. Like people talk all the time about life and work balance, right? And in my head, that always was like, really? Like, why do you have a balance both? Like, to me, like everything was just one thing, but I was never able to express it, right? Because I was
Right.
too in it, right? But once we start seeing that, for example, we moved the entire studio. I used to drive about a couple hours from the house that we live now to our studio, and then
Mhm.
back every single day, or studio slash office, right? We moved it in here, and now we got 2 hours back, and that's a beautiful thing. I can go pick up my son,
Yeah.
go take a walk, go take him to the park, and then go back, put him to bed. And then if I need to continue and do some things, because if we're not on momentum, I personally don't feel okay. Like, I need to be in
Yeah.
momentum, right? That's totally okay, right? So my wife is the completely opposite, right? She's very, very okay with her job. She's really happy with her job. That's what she
Yeah.
loves, right? And I'm not gonna judge her for that, right? Like, I praise that, and that if that's what makes her happy, absolutely, right? But she also understand that, to me, like, if I'm sitting down on a day off, right, and then nothing is getting done in my head, right? It's like, okay, how can I create momentum? Should I listen to a book? Should I, write something? Should I create something? What is it that's gonna cause that momentum? And I relate so much with your story and the fact that you are doing that together with your husband, and you guys are integrating that. And I think that's like a wonderful example for people that are taking on a venture, right? That are, whether
Mhm.
that's real estate, whether that's business, whether that's a show,
Mhm.
to really take a look at themselves and be like, hey, is this really going to be a part of my life, right? I
Right.
don't need to divide my personal life from this. Like, is this actually going to be part of my life? And once you
Mhm.
make that decision and realize that, everything is going to be so easy after.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing all that, and be raw and real and no BS, like you said on your show. So I appreciate you for that. I think this is a great transition to why you started the show, right? Because
Mm.
a lot of people, when they start publishing or they start to put their thoughts into words and out to the world, that
Yeah.
might add some friction to either their life or
That's
their
a
business.
whole another transformation.
That's
right
a
there.
whole other transformation. It ties really nicely with what you said about, what Tony said on that event, on that
Mhm.
spiritual journey, right? Because we make these reflections and we put our thoughts out there, and we become very vulnerable to whatever is happening out there. So I
Right.
would love for you to kind of walk us through, what was your thought process, right? Like, of creating your show, in interviewing people, creating relationships. Why do you do
Yeah.
it? And so on.
Yeah. So to add what you were saying, because it kind of ties into this question, this whole work-life balance, I don't believe most people can balance things, because there's only so much minutes and hours in a day. And if you have so many hours dedicated to family, so many hours dedicated to this part of the business and that part of the business and this part of the business, sometimes there's just not enough hours in the day to balance it all, especially if you're going to be someone who wants to grow in all areas of your life. Like, when you think about life, it's so multifaceted. There's so many areas to constantly be improving.
Yep.
Right. And so for me, I've always got to integrate. I've always got to be integrating everything that I'm trying to work on, whether that's taking the kids with me to a rehab, whether that's listening to a podcast while I'm exercising. Like, the greatest workouts in the world are the ones that you do for 15 minutes, because you literally work your entire body, because one exercise is working like 5 different parts of your body, right? And that's what I think of when I'm thinking of my day is, okay, I've got this 1 hour. Could I be doing one thing that's also taking care of these other things, right?
Yeah.
Like, when I take my family somewhere, if I have to do something for the business, can I teach them while I'm there about what we're doing?
Yeah.
Are there lessons to be learned, right? Where I'm not just like, mommy's got to go to work and you got to go with me. So I'm constantly finding ways to integrate pieces of my life. And I went to this seminar out in Alabama last year. And it was a coaches conference. It's a conference for real estate coaches, because at one time I was a real estate coach. Then I took some time off, and then 2020 came and I wanted to get back into being a real estate coach. And so I went to this seminar, and they were talking about podcasts, how podcasts are just an excellent tool to get information out there, to generate clients in your business. to build relationships with people. I mean, so many different things can happen from putting together a quality podcast.
Absolutely.
And I had never thought about this before. And they were talking about how really new podcasts are. When you look at podcasts versus like YouTube or other social media platforms, I think the latest stat I saw was that there's like 2 million podcasts out there right now versus like 32 million YouTube channels. So it's hard to break into the established content platforms.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Podcasts are great because you don't even need to do, if you're not doing them live, you don't even need to do your hair. Right? You can do them in your pajamas at home with a mic. There's not much to it. And you just need to have a little bit of knowledge to put it all together. So I came back from this conference and I'm like, what could a podcast do for me? Okay, here are all the things a podcast could do for me. It could generate real estate deals. If I have listeners who are listening to my content and they're not yet comfortable putting a deal together, but they've got enough information from me to go out and speak to a seller, and now they need some help, could we potentially partner with them? Yes, we could. Okay, so deal flow. That's one aspect of my business. Okay, what else could I use the podcast for? Could I use it to generate private funding? Because we work with individuals who have savings accounts, checking accounts, IRAs, and they want to invest in our projects.
Yeah.
And they want to make a return on their investment by investing in our projects. So we are always looking for people who we can partner with to fund the deals. Could we use the podcast to raise finances for our deals? Yes, we could. Okay. Yeah. What else could we use the podcast for? Could it be a relationship building tool where now I have access to people from all over the country who do all different kinds of real estate, because I'm mostly single family, but let's say I get a multifamily deal and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know who can help me with this. I interviewed Mike. We now have this relationship. I know he's the real deal. I'm going to reach out to him because I was on his podcast. He was on mine. I think he could help me with this. Yeah. Okay, well, that's another part of my business. I haven't even talked about coaching, right? Yeah. Which is originally what I went to this conference for, and they started talking about. Well, okay, people get excited about hearing this content, and now they want more. You could get more coaching clients from the content. Like, I haven't even gotten there yet. That's just another part of our business. Yeah. Plus, I get to help people personally grow, because the podcast, as you know, in business, it's not all strategy. It's 20% strategy, 80% mindset in any successful business. And so now I get to spend my day talking about the mindset and the personal growth that happens. And by getting it out there into the world, I'm feeding my own spiritual soul by helping others grow personally. So, okay, that's another aspect of, so when I took a look at and then how easy it is, right? I just have to have a mic and a computer screen and maybe some good lighting. And I have to have a little bit of knowledge to publish it, or I can hire that out. It made sense because it covers so many parts of our business and can help so many part of my business. So by doing one thing, it's kind of like it's like an RSS feed, right? It's like getting it out to all different kinds of, it's covering all different areas of my business.
Absolutely. So for you listening, right, go back to minute like 26 and re-listen all the reasons of why you should have a platform. Like the fact that you sat down critically and be like, this is what a podcast or a platform would do for me before you even jumped in it. It's an incredible thing that we don't see often in people trying to tackle this. We certainly didn't sit down and be like, you know what? Let's list all the things, right? Yeah. For us, was our mentors or people like, you guys should be publishing, right? And throughout the journey, we discover all these things. I admire so much that you actually took the time to sit down and list all these things, because guess what? You can always go back. In the publishing journey, there's going to be doubt. There's going to be like, man, can I do this? Man, is this message resonating? Wow, are people reacting to this? Am I actually getting a benefit out of it? Like in whatever of those reasons. And we can always look back at those elements and be like, yes, I'm building relationships. I'm finding connections. I'm finding people that are helping my business push forward. And I'm being developed personally, internally, and emotionally. I'm going through that spiritual journey. Yes. So we can always check those reasons and continue to move forward, because we all know that consistency is such a hard thing to master, apparently, right?
Yes.
You know, we've had to build a whole system around it to be able for us to be consistent with this show. But I love the fact that you listed out all these things and be like, sounds good, let's run with it, let's go apply it, and you're doing it, and it goes so much more than just the deal, right? So we always talk about, we often, you know, mention this thing, the two sides of the platform, right? And the platform can be your show, can be your YouTube channel if you want to tackle that way. But in this specific case, let's talk about podcasts, right? On the front end, you're gonna be creating your modern media team, right? You're gonna creating your content that goes out, that gets distributed, that gets eyeballs into you, and you're introducing to these new audiences. But on the back end, you have all these elements that you just, you know, gave to us, which is the relationship factor, the, you know, the personal development, the referrals, the strategic partnerships.
Here to name a few: deal flow, partnerships, access to networks, increase your Rolodex, coaching clients, building intimate relationships with your listeners, right? I mean, there's again so many benefits, such a low barrier of entry with such a huge upside, honestly. And I don't think we've ever found yet at the moment like a downside to podcasting.
We actually sat down and we were like, if, you know, worst come to worst, what's the one thing that we're actually going to continue to do no matter what? And we were like, we're just going to continue to publish and do the show, because, you know, for us has it changed everything. You know, it saved our business last year, and, you know, what could potentially be one of the hardest years for a lot of people, right? We lost a lot of business. We started publishing. Everything started getting back up, not just for the clients, but the relationship side of it. We've grown immensely. And the fact that we're able to communicate with people like you and have these incredible conversations, and at the same time inspire people to actually go out and do it. That's priceless. Yeah. So
Kari,
thank you for listening.
I have a question, right? So you ask yourself, what can a podcast do for me? Now, let's fast forward the amount of time that you've done the podcast for. What have the podcast actually done for you, right?
So yeah, we're on episode 31. We just published today.
Congrats.
Nice.
Yeah. So what the podcast has done for me is, you know, pretty much everything that I've listed, except for the deal flow, because we really haven't been advertising that yet. I take that back. Someone did email me a deal. So, but it's interesting because we just brought this up, my husband and I, in our meeting yesterday, right? Because we have all these different pieces of our business, and we go through, okay, where are we at with them? And we're like, okay, what kind of, we're now an established podcast. We're on episode 31, and we've been consistently publishing. We're consistently getting our subscriber base up and our downloads. And so now that we have the foundation, we have like the core of the podcast, how can we now alter our intro or alter our outro to get what we're looking for? Yeah. Okay, so maybe at this season of my business, right, I'm in real estate investing, so I'm always looking for money. I'm always looking for houses, right? Those are like the two things, and I'm always looking for buyers to buy those houses. So I'm looking for sellers, buyers, and money to fund these deals. So, okay, let's just look at the season. Where are we at in our business? Do we have more money to work with than we have more houses to purchase, or vice versa? Do we have a lot of houses, but now we need to raise money? And so now we can look at our business and say, what is it that we need right now? Okay, right now we need more inventory, let's say. Okay, for an example, we have all these people who want to invest in our deals, but we don't have enough houses right now. Okay, well, now what kind of intro can we start using for the next 30 episodes? Okay, that intro might be, hey, you guys, we're really excited because we just put this partnership program together where if you have a lead and you don't know what to do with it, go to this form, okay? Yeah. We create a quick form that they can fill out, right? All automated. Go to this form, theinvestorwarrior.com/deals. Now, this isn't a real form yet, but
it's okay.
And fill out the form with
whatever links you tell us is going to be right in the description. Don't worry.
Fill out the form with all the information on the deal. And if we can help you with this deal, we'll partner with you. So you get to partner with us, you get to learn with us, you get to make money with us. And then how does that help us? Well, that helps us because that's like a marketing tool. Like they're bringing us the leads. Okay. And so now we have this money that we can now invest in the deals. Vice versa. Now we have all these deals and we need to raise money. We simply change our intro. Hey guys, if you're interested in investing in us, we work with individuals who have 401ks and IRAs and savings. And if you want to increase your return on your investment by putting those dollars to work, here's a form you can fill out with your contact information. Like, let's talk, right? It's just a matter of like switching the intro or switching your outro wherever you're going to put it.
Absolutely.
And so it's pretty easy, right? To do once you have the core, once you have like, okay, I've got my music and I've got like my style. Like, what's my style? Is this like interview style, or is this just me talking? Is this me really educating, or is this like educating with me talking, or am I like interviewing people? And that's how people are getting education. Like, what's my style? What's my music? How am I going to format that? And then once you get that foundation, you're just switching up your marketing message, basically.
Absolutely. I love how previous to this part of the conversation, you mentioned 80% mindset, 20% strategy. I think we are in the 20% of strategy right now, right? And what you mentioned is so important, right? The calls to actions. And a lot of people miss that. That's an opportunity right there for, people to take action. That's why it's called call to action, right? Into whatever it is that your goals are. So you can fulfill those goals for, your quarter, year. And so you can actually serve these people that you're trying to help. And a lot of people are actually so afraid of putting call to actions, of actually telling people where to go next. And the funny thing is, if somebody's listening for you to you for an hour, right, in a podcast, they probably want to know more about what is it that you do, or what is next? What are the next steps? Maybe they're not consciously asking themselves, okay, where should I go to find Kari after I listen to this podcast? But in this subconscious, they're already built. They have so much rapport with you at this point that if you tell them, hey, guess what? I have an opportunity for you. If you're looking to get into the real estate world, we have this coaching program. All you got to do is apply, go to investorwire.com/ and then I'm inventing another form in here. We're inventing so many forms in here. But now this person is going to be like, wow, I just spent an hour with this person. And they also have an opportunity for me to improve my journey. I want to do it, right? And they get excited and they go ahead. Something else that we've noticed is a lot of people wait, and, we are actually not the best at doing this. We actually got to work a little bit better on this, but people wait till the end, either a call to action at the very beginning, the intro, or just at the very end. But what happens all the way throughout the show, right? There's so many times where, there are what we call golden boulders, these amazing pieces of information that people get really excited about. When the excitement is high, that's when we want to give them a call to action, right? So for example, right now, if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about podcasting, all you got to do is go to contentisprofit.com and join the Content is Profit family, for example, right? That is so important because a lot of people miss so many opportunities throughout their podcast. And somebody, right, or podcasts are about between 40 and an hour minutes long.
40 hours?
Yeah, 40 hours. Wow. Between 40 and an hour. And guess what? If somebody have time only to listen to 30 minutes, they miss a call to action at the end. So we gotta put call to actions throughout the show. And it's not like you're just like giving them a sales pitch right there, but you're just giving them a reminder. You're helping them. You actually want these people to win, right? That's why we're doing this, because we believe in what we do. We want to help them move one step closer to their goal. So of course I gotta make you an offer, right? I would be making you a disservice if I weren't telling you where to go next, so we could help you.
Yeah, that's so interesting that you said that, because we've been talking a lot about not only having the intro or the outro be the call to action, but if you listen to really good salespeople, good influencers, good. They're constantly in. It's about persuasion. If the book Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, it's that constant seeding where you don't even realize these are call to actions, but they are call to actions. Like, oh yeah, we have a coaching program. So it's not like a call to action, like, hey, you guys, if you're interested in coaching, go to this website and fill it out. Instead, it's like, oh, so one of my coaching students, we just had a coaching call the other day, and we got really into this one deal that I'm helping him out with. And here's how we put it together. And it's just an awesome deal. And like, I just basically told you we have a coaching program. I work with coaching clients without me saying, hey guys, if you want to be a coaching student, go to this.
Absolutely.
It's really too, the best salespeople are the best storytellers. So if you have a story and you can tell stories really, really well, where you evoke emotion and you get people excited, or you get them to that like edge where like, oh my God, then what happened? Like, what happened next? You can actually have little seeds of call to action in your stories. Like Tony Robbins is probably one of the best storytellers. And whether you like the guy or not, he is one of the best storytellers I have ever seen. Like, he'll take a simple story and it will take like an hour, and you're like on the edge of your seat, like, oh my God, and then what happened? And then what happened? And the entire time he's influencing you to purchase his product, and you don't even know it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We got the opportunity to see him live last year at Fun Hiking Live for the first time ever, and I don't think we've ever attended either virtual event. I personally didn't consume any of his content except one of his books.
Very, very few, honestly.
Yeah, and we cried. We were like what is like?
Real men cry. It's okay.
It was such an emotional journey, right? And that's the stories he was telling, the methods and how he presented, and completely. I mean, and the word I was about to say was like completely sold on him, but it was like it's not like. I trusted him, right?
Because it's not sold on him. It's actually he makes you leave sold on yourself. Like you leave believing so much that you can do anything that you say you're supposed to.
That if you can influence someone to believe in their self, because that's what a coach really does. Like there's so much strategy out there. You don't need to hire a coach necessarily for the strategy.
Absolutely.
The coach is there to like push you beyond your limits and to see in yourself what you don't yet see. Right. And so my best mentors and my best coaches, they see in me what I don't yet see, and they pull it out of me. And if you can do that in a story, like I remember Tony Robbins told the story of Kari Lyke. So I did gymnastics growing up.
Okay.
I was obsessed with when was she in the Olympics? I can't even remember, but I was like, I don't know. I was little when she was in the Olympics, and he told the story. And when he was telling the story, it like took me back to sitting in front of the TV and watching Kari Lyke on the TV. And it was this moment where the Americans were about to win the Olympics. And this was like the last event. She was doing vault. It was supposed to be like, okay, just this last vault and the Americans win the Olympics. She went and did the vault and she injured herself. And you get 2 attempts. And she injured herself bad. Like she was limping off of the mat. And they knew they had 1 attempt left, but the girl was literally limping. And I don't know how old she was. She was a teenager. And you're like, oh my God, this is such a tragedy. Like this is just, it's horrible. They had it. And now she's injured and she can't do the vault again. Like she's done.
Yeah.
And he tells the story about, and I remember this so much. But when he was telling the story, I was like crying as if I was like watching it again.
Yeah.
He tells what happened, and what happened was her coach Bella was like the Russian. He's Russian, and he just kept saying, "You can do it, Kari. You can do it." And she had a major sprain. It ended up being like I don't know if she tore some ligaments in it, but it was bad.
Wow.
And when you land on the vault mat, that's like bam. Like you don't, if you sprain your ankle and you try to vault again, like you can seriously injure yourself. And you could tell she was really injured.
Yeah.
And you just see her look at her coach, and he's saying, "You can do it. You can do it." And she's just this little girl, and the whole world is watching her. So she has this pressure on her. Like, if I don't do this, we will lose. And everyone was so excited because they like had it in the bag, right? And you just see her go up to the runway, salute the judges, and you're like, and you could hear like the newscasters, and they're like, "Oh my God, she's gonna do it. I can't believe it. She's gonna do it. Like, how can she do it? Because she's injured," right? And everyone's like, "Oh my God, is she gonna do it? Like, is she gonna attempt this second vault?" And sure enough, like you can see she's got like tears in her eyes because she's in so much pain. And she's now got to run down this runway, do the vault, land, stick it in order for them to have a chance at winning the Olympics. But she had such, it was like, okay, I don't care what it takes mentality, obviously.
Yeah.
Right. She was like when you're pulled to do something, doesn't matter if you have an injury, right? You're like, I have to, because so many people are relying on me. And she saluted the judges. She started running down the runway. She did her vault. She landed like perfect landing. She went and saluted the judges. And all of a sudden she just like collapsed in tears. And everyone was like, went crazy because she did it. And it was perfect. And she did it even though she had this horrific injury. And they ended up winning the Olympics. And when he was telling this story, like he told it as if I was like back watching it again. Cause I remember when I was sitting in front of the TV watching it, and I was like, oh my God. Cause it was like, she was like my idol. And like, it made me, what happened was when you watched her do it, you saw something that could be possible for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like when you see someone succeed despite such a huge challenge, it makes you question if you could do it. And I remember being that little girl and watching Kari do that and being like, oh my God, I just want to go and like practice every single hour of every single day. Like it got me so motivated and so inspired. And it's because when things like that happen, it pushes you to be like that person.
Yeah.
And when you can tell that through story using someone other's example, whether it's your example or in this case, it was someone else's, when you can tell it with so much emotion and so much detail where like an hour goes by and you're like, holy shit, what happens next? Has an hour really gone by?
Yeah.
That is when you can really inspire people and really motivate people.
Yeah. By the way, holy crap, the hours just flew by. I'm like, we're here just like, tell us more about this story. Like, by the way, props. I mean, incredible storyteller. Also, you lived through that in the event in real life too. I'm like, please tell me more. And thank you.
It was just such a great moment. It was just such a great moment in time.
Yeah.
And it was just such a great testament to you really can do anything you set your mind to, despite adversity, despite challenges, despite whatever is pushing against you. Like you can push through it, like she did. And it I don't know. It was just such a great example.
Yeah.
It makes me like tear up just thinking about it again.
I love the passion on how you share that story too, because clearly it means a lot to you. And, we all have those stories, right? And for those out there listening right now, what is that story that you go for? Like when things are hard that you were like, man, that, I saw that or I lived that. And then hence I can continue on my journey, right? Because this journey is definitely not an easy one. If you're looking for an easy journey, go somewhere else. This is a fun process. And I think you master this because you are enjoying your journey as well, right? You're enjoying it with your family. You're enjoying, everything that you're doing, and you're develop this incredible relationship. So I thank you for sharing that story. We might have to bring you to the Contents Profit Facebook group and just chat about stories, right? Just like completely in there. By the way, you saw what I did there. We actually have a family Facebook group. Yeah. So we practice what we preach as well. So if you want to join, the link is right below. Just go there. Also, Kari, last couple questions. There's two more. We asked you for like 2 minutes of wiggle room just in case. See, we told you that this was going to be so exciting. All right. One action point. What is an action point that somebody, right, that's starting their journey on publishing, right? Or in your case, they're starting to look into that real estate world mixed with publishing. Like, what is something that they can do today to get the momentum going?
With publishing and real estate?
You choose.
Either or. Well,
Yeah.
no, because they're two separate things. If you're wanting to get into real estate, first thing is you got to educate yourself. I mean, you have to become a master of whatever you are doing in order to become successful, right? The podcast pushes me to know more, because if I'm going to educate, I need to know my shit, right? Yep. I need to know what I'm talking about. When I read books on business or on leadership or on real estate, I now read with the intent to educate. Like, I've got to understand the material. So it really pushes me to absorb the information so that I can become a better investor, a better podcaster, a better everything.
Yeah.
So become like a fountain, like just take it all in, like take as much information in as you can, but don't allow it to stall you from thinking that you can't take action. I'm never going to know it all.
Yeah.
But as I'm implementing, I'm constantly adding to my knowledge base.
Absolutely.
And if I make a mistake, I put it into the knowledge base. Okay. I noted that is not what I should do next time. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to grow from it. I'm going to move on. And now that's adding to my knowledge base in addition to the reading and the educating that I'm doing on other platforms. So start educating yourself and take these little bits of pieces and implement it versus I've got to know it all before I implement. Like, chunk it down, right? Just chunk it down. If you need to learn how to publish a podcast, well, then do a 5-minute podcast and publish it. And you're probably going to make a ton of mistakes. I just learned after 31 episodes that my audio is crappy because I've been rendering it the incorrect way. And now I got to go back 30 episodes. My 17-year-old was like, Kari, why does the audio sound like you're in a tunnel? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, he's like, is that every episode? I was like, I think so. This is not good. He's like, I wouldn't listen to that. And it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. And I realized why after 30 episodes that's happening. So now I'm like, damn, we got to go back to all 30 episodes and re-render those, because as we add more listeners, we got to make sure they stay with us. And if we have crappy audio, they're not going to stay with us. They might stay with us for a little while. So noted. I'm now going to go back. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. We've got subscribers. We've got people downloading it. It's not stopping some people, but it is going to stop other people from continuing to listen. So, go back and fix it.
I think you could do the new intro, like, hey, by the way, guys, thank you for sticking with us for the first 30 episodes that we actually did in a tunnel. So now that we're out of the tunnel, it's going to be, so much smoother. Anyways.
I love how you put it, right? And I'm going to refer to a previous episode that we did with Glenn Lundy, where he said, if you are stuck and don't know what to share, right? If you don't know what to create content about, that means that you're not learning. Right. And it boils down to that. Right. I just wanted to tell a little bit to content. If you're not learning, if you're not educating yourself, it's going to be very difficult for you to go ahead and create good quality content for other people to consume. And the other thing that I love about your action point is boil it down, not just consume everything and then, splurge it all the way to whatever platform you're going to, but reflect on it. What is it? What is the principle behind that one thing that you learn, right? Distilled information, and then share your own point of view, right? With your own story attached to it. And then that is the winning formula right there. But at the end of the day, it's about taking action. Just like you said, right? You want to start a podcast, minimal viable content, how we call it, remove all the friction, just put it out there into the world, and you are going to see momentum. You're going to start, going one step at a time. And eventually you're going to look back and guess what? You're going to have 31 episodes published.
Yeah.
Kari, where would you be if you did not publish?
Where would I be? If I didn't publish? I don't know, because I'm only 31 episodes in. So I don't know yet where it's going to take me. I do know it's going to take me to places I want to go. And sometimes that's okay, not knowing exactly where it's going to take you. I've also learned, because this is twisted and turned. Like, the most important thing for me when I first got started was just to start getting out there and start publishing with quality content. And I didn't know why yet. I didn't know where this was. I knew why, but I didn't know where it was going to take me yet. Sometimes that's going to evolve as you evolve the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did know that I needed to trust the trust the process, not the podcast. Trust the process, because I knew, again, if it's helping others, success leaves clues. If you want to become successful at something, model someone who is doing it. And for me, the first 2 episodes in, I got feedback from the people I had interviewed, and they were like, wow, that was one of the best podcast interviews I've done. And I've done a lot. Like, you're really good at this. And I was like, I am? They're like, you're really good. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Maybe this is something that I can use. Like, I haven't figured it out yet. I kind of have an idea of how this could work in my business, but if I'm good at it, I'm going to go with that.
Absolutely. So cool. And you have such a great personality too. I mean, you are also a great guest, by the way. So you play both sides, which is awesome. So where can people find you, Kari? Where can people connect with you? Where's the best place for them to learn more about you and your business?
Facebook, Kari Lyke. Also on Instagram, Kari Lyke as well. We have the Investor Warrior podcast show, which is on all of the podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
And then we also have a YouTube channel, the Investor Warrior as well.
Awesome.
Nice. And we're going to leave all the links down below. So grab your thumb. I don't know if you should grab it. Just move your thumb and scroll down and tap in all the. Yeah, imagine just grabbing your thumb and then using it to scroll. Just use your thumb, scroll down, tap on all the links, hit follow, hit subscribe on Kari's podcast, The Investor Wire. Show her some love. Leave a review as well in her podcast, and connect with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else you want to add before we head out?
No, I love what you guys are doing. I love the fact that you're helping people get the content out there and also figure out what to do with that content, because it's not just about putting the content out there. It's then like, okay, what do I do with all this content? Because you can really leverage the content. You can do so much with it. So I'm excited of what you guys are doing, and I'm just grateful for you having me on here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the conversation, Kari. It was so fun.
Yeah.
With that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Content is Profit podcast. Go ahead and follow the show on your favorite platform, or come hang out with us in our Facebook group, Content is Profit.
That is right. If today's guests help you move one step forward and one step closer to your goal, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review.
Bye, guys.